almost at the gig, and Odin's run over 4 minions of darkness. The boss is our hammer. I'm driving with one hand.
I need you to meet me at the shore. Is the song ready?
Almost. Odin's got a killer chorus. Come save your soul, awake new and whole. By name I will summon him. Bro, tree! What tree? There's no tree in the song. Who the put the tree in the middle of the road?
I loved Alan Wake 1. Despite the remaster's bugs, it had a creepy atmosphere, interesting story, likable characters, and decently fun gunplay. In fact, it was majorly fun. I had a whole lot of fun playing through part 1. It was more of a thriller than a horror, which was a new thing for me at the time, and I plan to go back and 100% the game and play it on Nightmare difficulty. Now, on to Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 has made many improvements over Alan Wake 1, but it's missing what made the first one so special. It's not that I didn't like Alan Wake 2, it's just because, like, it did have good moments in it, but most of it was just simply boring. For now, let's just start my synopsis. I will be talking about the first few parts, only minor spoilers, nothing major. However, there might be Alan Wake 1 spoilers, so you have been warned. Alan Wake 2 starts off with the scruffy looking Alan with a glowing hole in his head, talking about horror stories, and about how there's victims and monsters or something, and we transition to a bloated, naked dude on the shore of Cauldron Lake, the Lake of Darkness, or the lake that holds the dark presence from the first game. He stands up, the naked dude, and we begin playing him, and I just want to know why he's naked. Like, I turned on the censored filter and everything, but it's still a weird choice. Like, when Alan shows up later in the game, he's in his brown suit, so it's not a Terminator thing where they have to be transported in the nude. So did they want to show off their next-gen graphics for the penis or something? I don't get it. Anyway, we follow the naked dude making his way out of the forest. A couple with flashlights see him and are understandably freaked out by the naked dude and run away. We continue walking and get jump scared by what looks like a flash of a blood-covered Alan Wake. As we continue, we start to hear voices in the woods, and some people in deer masks show up and start stabbing the naked dude, and they drag him to an altar where they cut him open. After splitting open his chest, they take out his heart, and the deer people refer to themselves as like the cult of the tree, but the couple from earlier show up and interrupt the ritual, and the cult members chase after them. It then goes to black and we get the title screen, which the title screen's pretty cool. I guess it was the intro, but it reminds me a lot of the Resident Evil 4 remake. So I don't know if that's really a good thing or a bad thing. I guess it's certainly an observation. So, after the intro, we pick up with the two other characters besides Alan Wake, which are Saga Anderson, our new main protagonist, and her partner Alex Casey. Even though Saga and Alan are both protagonists and heroes of the story, I would argue that Saga is the main character of the story since we spend most of the time with her. I mean, she's the hero of Alan's story, so yeah, you could argue with that, I don't know. So, if you played Alan Wake 1, you would know that Alex Casey is Alan Wake's most popular character from his books, but apparently the real Alex is just a coincidence or something. I didn't quite understand that part. There's like 3 different Alex Caseys. I don't know, man. But, Saga and Alex are federal agents that arrive in Bright Falls to investigate a series of murders and disappearances. They meet up with 2 deputies and investigate the crime scene with the naked dude. Here we learn about Saga's mind place, a safe room of sorts where you can piece together evidence you find to build the bigger overall case, which is cool. I think the over-reliance on it is kind of weird. But other things you could do is you could listen to the radio of songs that you've unlocked, and you can watch commercials that you catch in the as you explore different parts of the game, I guess you could say. So we figure out that the naked dude is Agent Nightingale. He's the FBI agent that was hunting down Alan in the first game that I didn't mention because he didn't really matter and was actually inconsequential to the overall story. So it's a weird choice to bring him back, but I kind of respect it because he wasn't a big deal in the first game at all. He was just this force to drive Alan away from, reaching help of the townspeople. Anyway, Saga and Alex take Nightingale back to the morgue of the Bright Falls Sheriff Station, and we meet Sheriff Breaker, who looks like the guy from Quantum Break, which is another game from Remedy. I've heard about the game, but never played it. I heard that the cutscenes were unskippable, and they're like live action, and I think that's kind of odd choice. Alan Wake 2 does have the live action cutscenes, but I don't know. I'm kind of picking favorites here because I actually care about Alan Wake. So anyway, before we head to the morgue, Saga speaks with the two witnesses that interrupted the call all the way in the beginning. The couple tells Saga that the deputies are racist, understandably, and Saga reads their minds in her mind place, which is kind of weird how she's able to read minds, but you could argue if she's a Mary Sue or not. I don't really want to get into all of that. I really just don't care because a lot of games just come up where the characters automatically have powers, guys and girls, so it's cheap, but whatever. Anyway, Saga reads their minds in her mind place, and she deduces that they're hiding something from her. So the couple admit that they are, and hand over a cult necklace to Saga, which is like these two triangles. And before Saga could leave the diner, Rose Marigold from Alan Wake 1, my personal GOAT.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Stops her and tells her that she recognizes her, and she mentions that she's sorry about what happened to Saga's daughter. We know that Saga's daughter is okay because Saga speaks to her after the intro, once we see her and Alex arriving into Bright Falls. So why is Rose so sure that something happened to Saga's daughter? Whatever, I'm just happy Rose is back.
It's for Deerfest. Practically everyone will be wearing one.
Good to know.
The inner machinations of my mind are an enigma.
Anyway, at the morgue, Saga brings up how she found some pages of the manuscript called The Return, because when she's dissecting the body of Nightingale without gloves, and she's like supposed to be she's certified for examination, and she's doing it without gloves. Anyway, she finds a page inside of him, and the author's name is scribbled out on the first page that we find in the woods. Scribbled out, it's scratched out. Yeah, there we go. And if you've played Alan Wake 1, you would know that Return is the name of the story Alan begins to write after the final DLC episode to escape the Dark Place. Sheriff Breaker says that he found another page, or a few other pages, but as he's about to hand it over to Saga, he immediately disappears, and he was like kind of scared before he disappeared, so he knew it was going to happen. Like, I don't know, it was kind of weird. And the lights begin to flicker, he disappears. Nightingale stands up from the table and kills two police officers and throws Alex and Saga across the room. We finally get some action and shoot Nightingale a few times until he disappears too, though, so it's scripted, unfortunately. And Saga gets up, checks on Alex, and they head back to Cauldron Lake to look for Nightingale before he can hurt anyone else. Some more stuff happens, and we explore the big map around Cauldron Lake. It's really easy to get lost in, and I kind of like it. Saga reads some more pages and discovers that she has to do a ritual to open an overlap to find Nightingale. We do all the steps, kill a Taken, find Nightingale's heart, and open the overlap. We enter and some crazy stuff happens, and we fight Nightingale, who's an easy first boss. After the fight, we speak with Alan for the first time, but it's all jumbled. And it's like they're talking underwater. We then immediately spawn in the Cauldron Lake shore again, for some reason, and find Alan, and he is hysterical and talks about Mr. Scratch. Saga then tells... Bruh. I meant to put him, like, as an Alan Wake, and it autocorrected to Jim. Jesus. Anyway, Saga then tells him that he's been missing for 13 years, and it cuts to the end of the chapter. Next, we see the trio of Alan, Saga, and Alex meet up for the first time. Alan's, surprised that Alex is a real person. Apparently he didn't know that, so, kind of odd. So, we're allowed to keep exploring for collectibles and side missions now that the flooding went away around the map, and we could skip and take Alan back to Bright Falls, However, we can always return to explore the lake anytime we want, which is cool. There's one thing that I really like about this game is the exploration, but there's also another part where a lot of it is just empty for no reason. After this chapter, the game starts opening up, and now we'll be able to change perspectives between Saga and Alan. Saga deals with stuff in the real world, while Alan deals with stuff in the dark place. If you get far enough into one side, the game will straight up lock you up and kick you out to finish the other side of the story, so you get to play both Alan's and Saga's story. Alan's is Alan's story is a little bit shorter, and if I'm being completely honest, kind of boring, while Saga is more kick-ass, but that's just the way, that's what I observed. They work together to fight the darkness, who takes the form of Mr. Scratch mostly in this game. So now that the synopsis is over, is over, let's talk about what I liked. I really liked the switch up to horror in this game. Alan Wake 1 was a thriller and had very few jump scares that were actually effective. But I don't know if you can call jump scares effective. They're just, I don't know. Add jump scares. In the sequel, they say over and over that it's a horror story. So maybe in Alan Wake 3, it could take more of an action approach, similar to Resident Evil 3 or even Aliens. Another thing was that the atmosphere was fantastic and even creepier than the first one. I especially love the Dark Place missions with Alan. Speaking of Alan, I like the idea of dual protagonists. Alan is less of a survivor like in part 1 and has become like a major god figure. He's basically a walking, living, breathing MacGuffin is the term, while Saga takes the perspective of survivor. Saga plays like the first game and literally makes you put together the mystery piece by piece, which is sort of a good and a bad thing. And Alan's gameplay was more like setting the story into motion and switching around parts to solve puzzles. It's pretty cool, but at the same time, like I said before, Saga's story is more action-y, even if it's few and far in between, while Alan's is a bit more boring. I think the incentive to play New Game Plus, as it adds some minor story differences and a new ending, is pretty cool. And in this game they call it the final draft. I forgot to mention in my review of the first game, but gameplay became stale pretty quickly due to the lack of upgrades. Part 2 introduces a whole bunch of upgrades for Alan and Saga. Saga finds scraps in Alex Casey lunchboxes to upgrade, while Alan finds words of power in the Dark Place to upgrade. However, Saga's upgrades are like, there's not that many, while Alan has a whole bunch. And even though some of them can be really good, like for Saga, she can fire the crossbow twice, there's some other ones that don't really make a difference. So I personally loved the balance of horror and goofiness, because I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, so I'm no stranger to horror-related stuff having some comedic breathers. There's a really cool mission with Alan where you fight through a musical where the old gods of Asgard sing about Alan's life journey, which is really cool, which also leads to the original soundtrack to this game being like, it might be one of my favorites of all time. Herald of Darkness is great, but my favorite song is probably Mr. Scratch's theme, Dark, Twisted, and Cruel, which takes more of like I'm trying to think of the word. Rock rap, maybe? I don't know, man. I really liked the Angel Lamp mechanic in Alan's missions. I also really liked adding different plot elements to change certain paths to progress forward in his missions. That's a pretty interesting mechanic. I like it. And the environments in this game are stunning at a glance. A lot of the times it does tend to look a little blurry, especially in the Dark Place, but I can forgive the Dark Place just because it's meant to look like that, like a dream. But it made me feel a little bit better about exploring the map to find collectibles, even if I'll walk down a path and not find anything at all. So now let's talk about what I didn't like. There's a lot, unfortunately. So first point, I hated that this game is digital only. I want to touch a game case and read the back and see the manual. It doesn't have to have a manual, but I just want to feel a case. I will forever love physical media. I don't care how many arguments you throw that say that digital is better. I don't care. I don't. I'm buying it. I'm spending money. My mom's buying stuff for me, and I can't even actually hold it in my hands. Instead, it's on my Xbox. It's so stupid. So this definitely knocks down 1 point in the game's overall score. Like, come on, Epic Games. It has to be you guys, because you did it to the first game as well. I hated how the game tries to handhold and feed you exposition through these long cutscenes and these small comments when we as players should be able to take in some provided pieces and come up with our own understanding similar to part 1. It's one of the reasons why I didn't like the reliance on Saga's mind place. I literally cannot move forward until I've put pieces together in her mind place wall, even during my second playthrough where I know what I'm doing and where I'm going. I have to take the time and slow down the pacing and my progress just to connect two things together, just so Saga can understand, even though I already know what's going on. It pisses me off. Another point is that the pacing in this game is absolutely awful. I'll talk about this more in a later point. This game can be very buggy. Sometimes the dialogue desyncs or music will cut in and out during dramatic moments and completely ruin the immersion. Sometimes the sound cue when an enemy spawns gets stuck, so you just have a very annoying sound that gets stuck, and it forces you to boot up the game again. Another bug was what looked like a black water effect that left puddles, or sometimes the entire ground texture was just pitch black. This was not a feature because it did not fit the context of what I was doing, and it was mostly during Saga's playthrough. The desync of the audio was very annoying, and it made the characters look like as if they were talking in a dubbed over Bruce Lee film. The map would also glitch sometimes, where it would mislead me to containers and secrets that I had already accessed previously, and just a whole lot of minor bugs just added up, and I experienced something game breaking, which I guess is deserves a point or something, but it's really lame. I'm sorry, but I do not like the shared universe idea. I'm an Alan Wake fan, not a Remedy fan. I don't want to play Quantum Break or Control to understand who these random people are. A lot of things from Control show up, and I just don't get it. Shared universes and alternate realities got stale about 4 years ago, so why even write something related to it? I don't know if I'm the only one that noticed this, but this game is meant for new players of the franchise. I mean, we only had one game, so for players that haven't even played part 1. So if you've played part 1, this game is going to treat you like you're stupid, and you're going to have to act surprised at some of the twists in the story. I'll talk about this more in the spoiler section, but it really pissed me off. The upgrades are cool, but the gameplay is way worse. I hate that the gameplay is faster and that it lost its video gamey feel like in the original. In the original, certain kills, explosions, and perfectly timed dodges would slow down time and look really cool, like out of Max Payne. That's lost in the new one, and it makes the action seem less impactful, and it makes it seem way more generic. If you're a fan of the faster gameplay, good for you, because the rest is insanely slowed down. The intro took forever in my first playthrough. Of course, I'll blame myself for like at least 20 minutes of the 3 hours because I stopped to look around for collectibles. That's just the kind of person I am. But it took forever. It was like heaven when fighting Nightingale in the morgue, but it was a scripted battle. So he disappears, and then there's no more enemies until 10, 20 to 30 minutes later. I like to play games starting from easiest and work my way up to the hardest difficulty, but in this game there seems to be no difference in enemy spawns depending on difficulty. It takes forever to find any Taken to fight. The game gives you a whole bunch of ammo but nothing to shoot at. During the final few hours before the end game, I walked around all the maps to collect all of the collectibles, and I very rarely came across any Taken. I want to be scared and fight. In the first game, you're constantly on edge. I would wipe out a gang of Taken, stand in some light to check on my phone, to look at memes, you know, just whatever. And then once I left the light, another gang of Taken spawned to kick into my teeth. The game is in a desperate need for a Madhouse type difficulty with random enemy spawns and puzzle remixes. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the game is too damn easy and not very scary when it's trying to be a horror game. Maybe I'll just try Nightmare difficulty and rage at that instead. Speaking of Nightmare difficulty, let's get to my next point. There's no point to playing Nightmare difficulty. The achievements suck in this game. I almost 100% the game in one playthrough without even trying. What the hell is up with that? The first game gave you an achievement for playing on every difficulty. You get nothing for playing Nightmare. You don't even get bonus manuscript pages. What were they thinking? Are these really the same people who worked on Alan Wake 1? Because I don't think so. The weapon variety still sucks. The only new weapons are Saga's pistol and crossbow. If you want to count throwables, they have like these rocket flares and propane tanks, but I didn't use the propane tanks. I just used the rocket flares because they kept taking up too much storage in my inventory. The pistol's kind of cool. The crossbow is way too slow, and just I'd rather use a gun anyway. Hey Remedy, where are all the cosmetic unlockables? There's a cosmetic tab in the main menu that I seen as soon as I got in the main menu of the game. Yeah, I could use my deluxe cosmetics because I got the deluxe edition, but they kind of suck. The celebrity suit just makes me look like John Wick. Oh wow, John Wick is so cool. But my problem is that I thought you could unlock more costumes, such as maybe a classic costume for Alan, but there's absolutely nothing to unlock. Why? Why? This makes no sense. I hated running across the map. Hell, it's not even running. In the first game, Alan ran for his life and would even run out of breath, which added tension to the gameplay. Now you could sprint forever, but you sprint significantly slower. The characters do more of a light jog when they're supposed to be running for their lives. I guess they wanted the game to be more immersive and even realistic, but in that aspect it ruins the game experience. It's boring, less scary, less tension, and overall less fun. Hell, other than the Alan Wake musical segment, I don't think I really had fun in this game. It kept me interested, don't get me wrong, because I liked the story, but I wasn't addicted to the gameplay. To put it bluntly, it felt less like Resident Evil 4 and more like a poor man's Silent Hill. I'm dreading playing the game again to get the final draft ending. Hey Remedy, where's the story DLC? It's already going to be 7 months since the game came out and we still have little to no info about the DLC. It sucks. The puzzles in Alan's playthrough are fine using the angel lamp and writing in new plot inspiration, which I thought was pretty cool. But the puzzles are lame on Saga's end. The nursery rhymes were extremely simple, and looking for padlock combinations got, like for the cult stashes, it got real boring really quick. Okay, now that I calmed down a little bit, I want to talk about 2 big points that I think I should mention. So, I want to talk about Sweet Baby Inc. and I also want to talk about why this game was so damn popular. We might be going into spoiler territory here, so a timestamp will be up. Okay, Sweet Baby Inc. is a terrible company that adds pointless diversity related things to games. These things could refer to casting, narrative decisions, and other aspects. I would argue that they ruined Spider-Man 2 and confused God of War Ragnarok. I don't care about race swaps personally, or gender swaps, because I don't think it's a big deal, especially when the character is lesser known, such as the case of Saga Anderson. How she started off as a white woman, I think in Quantum Break. I don't know, didn't play the game, I don't care, I don't think I'm gonna play it. And now she's a black woman in Alan Wake, which I've played Alan Wake and I like her character. What I do hate is when main characters are shit-talked or replaced by another character. In both Spider-Man and God of War, the main characters are being replaced. Kratos is all soft and sad now, and I feel he might be killed off and replaced with Atreus, his son. And with Spider-Man, Peter Parker has been replaced by Miles Morales, and they made Peter say that he's retiring. When I heard Sweet Baby Inc. had worked with Alan Wake 2, I was immediately on edge and was grateful to find out they didn't touch the story. The story was entirely Sam Lake, but I still think it was an odd decision for Alan Wake to start blaming himself for everything. It's not his fault. How could you blame the man? He was trying to escape a literal hell, so he kept writing to defeat the darkness and find a way out. I already warned you about spoilers, so I'm just going to say it. I hated the fact that Alan blames himself for Alice's death, and for just the darkness being as strong as it is. She had offed herself because Mr. Scratch was tormenting her. How was Alan supposed to know that this was going on? Even if this was part of the story he was writing, it still wouldn't be Alan's fault. The game makes it clear that the return is written by Mr. Scratch and not Alan, or that Alan would wrote the perfect draft of the return, but Mr. Scratch edited it into a horror story. The only thing that Alan does wrong in the story is bring Saga and her family into the story. I can't defend him there, but he was trying to reunite with his wife in the other case. In his shoes, I'm sure we'd do the same thing just to escape. It's crazy that the aspect of Alan Wake shit talk would come from Sam Lake and not Sweet Baby Inc. I still think that they had some say though. There is very small racism references throughout the story. There's these two racist deputies. I forgot their names. I'm pretty sure one of them is named Mulligan. And they try to pin the murder of the naked dude, Nightingale, on the two tourists, the witnesses, because they're black. And when Saga lets them off the hook, lets the witnesses off the hook, the deputy, Saga reads the deputy's minds later in the game, and one of the deputies said that their kind sticks together. So what was the point of this? What did this add to the story other than the players making the observation that these two deputies are racist pieces of fecal matter? Near the ending, Saga gets trapped in her mind place when Scratch throws her into the dark place. And while talking about Alan, she says, "I'm not going to have another white man decide my life for me," or something to that effect. And like Saga, he's trying to fix everything. He just needs your help. And like, I could forgive this though, since it's an evil version of Saga that says that. It's just, I personally feel like racism shouldn't really appear in a game unless it's a villain or if it's in the right context. Otherwise, it just sticks out like a sore thumb, like it does in Alan Wake 2. And all it does is just remind people that there's lines between us. If we stop mentioning our differences and start mentioning what makes us the same, we could be better people. Sweet Baby Inc. has an admirable mission of diversity, but their execution misses the mark and continues to remind players of our differences instead. I liked Saga. I think she was a good character. I don't care that she used to be white in Quantum Break. I didn't even play that game. To me, she is an entirely new character, and I love how positive and sweet and empathetic she is, especially for her being a Fed of all jobs. She cares about her family and her partner Alex Casey, and even she's even nice to Alan Wake, the man she's only known for a few hours. She helps him and even reminds him that he's the hero of the story as well as her, and like helps lift him up. I loved Saga as much as I love Alan Wake. I admire her mission to save her daughter and rewrite the story. I'm not black or a woman, but I could relate to wanting to keep my friends and loved ones safe. A lot of people had a problem with Saga being related to the Anderson brothers, Odin and Thor, since they are white Nordic Vikings. I don't know if they're Nordic, but white Vikings. I guess people are still shocked by interracial couples. I mean, I'm half white and half Mexican, and most of my friends and family are mixed as well. Anyway, that's enough about race politics and my family stuff. And honestly, I'm so tired of Sweet Baby Inc. I hope I hope the whole company just dies in a hole. Nobody, not the people, just the company itself. So, let's talk about why the hell this game was so popular. I still don't get it. It's boring, the gameplay is mediocre, and the story is admittedly pretty good, but that's really it. Was the story that good to where Alan Wake 2 became Remedy's fastest selling game? Maybe, I guess? There had to be people shilling this game, because there ain't no way. I've seen no trailers, no video essays, and no hype on the internet about this game prior to its release. Hell, as I've stated in my Alan Wake 1 review, I originally discovered this game from Dead by Daylight and the Game Awards, where they did the Herald of Darkness live. I don't know how it won any Game Awards when the game should have honestly just been a movie. I just don't get it. Another point of confusion was that I think the game was meant for people that hadn't played the first game. After I reviewed the first Alan Wake, I discovered that a lot of people didn't really like the game. So I'm assuming part 2 was meant to like catch up and serve as like a I'm sorry if you didn't like Alan Wake 1 sort of. And in turn, for people like me who played the first one and enjoyed it, the twists kind of suck. Apparently it was a big twist, or tried to hype up a big twist, that Alan and Mr. Scratch were the same person, when in the first game Thomas Zane explicitly introduces Alan to Scratch in the final episode. Also, I didn't like the new Thomas Zane. He seemed way different from the first game, but this could be because of like some alternate universe type bullshit, which I'm so tired of. I couldn't really tell. Also, they made the writer of the return a mystery when we know that Alan begun working on the return at the end of the final DLC episode of the first game. Maybe they wanted us to guess if Alan or Scratch wrote it, but we know that they're the same person. Is it such a stretch to say that during one of the drafts, Scratch took over? It's just dumb and confusing and convoluted for the sake of a mystery that's not even that good. The best mystery and twist in this game was finding out that the Cult of the Tree aren't even the bad guys. So, I'm done being confused and angry with the game. In conclusion, Alan Wake 2 is alright. It's good at best, but it is nowhere near a masterpiece, like everyone's saying. I looked up Alan Wake reviews, and every thumbnail is saying that it's a masterpiece. I don't understand that. Maybe the story being told is a masterpiece, but the gameplay is such a slog that it brings it down. The game took me around 25 hours to beat, and I still gotta play on Final Draft mode. The most memorable part is the musical segment, but it does not carry the game. I give Alan Wake 2 a 6 out of 10. The story is good, but it's a video game. If gameplay is not a priority, gameplay and story should at least be a 50-50. If they're going to keep the franchise this weird, I'm probably going to be struggling to call myself an Alan Wake fan. I loved part 1, but why did they have to add so much bullshit, mystery, and red herrings? It made the game feel bloated. They had a few parts that worked, but it got diluted by a whole bunch of filler. Hopefully we get some news about the DLC, because I don't see myself coming back after I play the Final Draft. If you really want to play this game, buy it on sale. Currently I'm about halfway through the Final Draft, and things are going a bit faster, and I would honestly say it's way more fun now. In fact, I'm enjoying the game even more in my second playthrough. But why the hell did I have to sit through a 30-hour playthrough, basically a 30-hour movie, just to get to the good stuff? I want to be positive about a hypothetical Alan Wake 3, but this game still hasn't made its money back. I really wanted and expected to like it more than I did, but oh well, I guess. So this next part's not scripted all the way, so just let me cook and just hear me out. Overall, I did not hate Alan Wake 2. It just had so many problems with it. Like I said, the story is fantastic. I really enjoyed it. That's the only thing that kept me going through the game, was the story. I honestly dreaded the gameplay, and that's so stupid because it's a video game. The gameplay is supposed to be the main drive and the fun aspect and the entertaining aspect, where the story just adds on to it, not the other way around. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. And please don't hit me with the, it's an adult themed game and you need to be a super high intellectual to get it. Don't hit me with that. Come on. Don't be dumb. So I'm being mean. Sorry. Let me know what you think about the game. If I said anything wrong story related, let me know if I got it wrong, as politely as you can. Of course, it's a YouTube comment, so it might come off as mean anyway. So just let me know what you think about the game. Did you like it? Did you not? A lot of this game seems, as what I've seen from thumbnails and reviews, because this is after I've written the script already, and I've watched 2 separate reviews, and I'm starting to notice that people either love this game or they absolutely hate this game. There's really no one in the middle. So I want to be that person in the middle, where I do admire the story. It's just, it's so slow. The pacing's really bad in this game. So, I don't think I have anything else to add, really. So, I guess I'll just end the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making it this far into the video. If you liked the review, leave a like. If I was informative, leave a like. And let me know if I did an okay job. Constructive criticism is always accepted, as long as you're not being an ass about it. If you want to see more videos from me, longer reviews like this, because I don't think a review video should honestly be over 30 minutes, but sometimes especially Alan Wake, it's a recent game that I fell in love with, and just to be hit with the whole another world that Alan Wake 2 is, just, it hit me wrong. Did I already say subscribe if you want to see more? I do other things like reviews. I like to talk about games that I like. So that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm sorry for the video taking so long, and for the video being kind of long. I wasn't expecting it for it to be like this. So I think that's it, guys. I'm sorry for keeping it this long. See you later. Oh, and I almost forgot. Bye bye.
Meant for me.